Hi, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your December 2021 full moon reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Sagittarius be affected by the December 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. At the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Tower, and we have the Strength card, which is Leo energy coming through. So if we have Leo in our natal chart, this energy is going to come through very powerfully as a core part of our personality. The Tower isn't something we need to worry about. It's just showing profound change. And this is actually something that's really needed. We then have Temperance, which is us Sagittarius. And we have the Hermit, which is Virgo energy. So if we have Virgo within our natal chart, that energy comes through very powerfully here within our inner selves, just as we are showing up very powerfully in our inner selves, really connecting with who we are, with how we want and need to move forward, and what we desire for our lives. We have the Nine of Swords, and we have the Six of Pentacles. There's worry, doubt, and fear that things aren't fair, that things aren't even, that things aren't in balance the way that they should be. So just be mindful of that during this time. We have the Two of Swords, the Seven of Cups, and the Six of Pentacles, the Six of Coins. So there's going to be this real need of balance, and we're going to feel it emotionally, but it's also going to be part of our waking world, meaning that there needs to be a give and a take. There needs to be a balance, a symbiotic, relationship within things. And this is something that also has to go with our dreams. There needs to be enough time allotted to our own personal self and to what we desire. And we can really find here, Sagittarius, that we've been missing the ball on that. Like, we've been missing the mark on what our bodies needs and what we need and how we're developing and where it is that we need to be. So this is going to be very important during this time. We can be caught up in everybody else's everything. So just be aware of this. Now let's look at our energy to be mindful of. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. This is the Prince of Pentacles, Earth sign energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is the earthly plane and lies around money. This is just what's coming through here. So just be very mindful. Read the small print of things. Don't take people at face value, which might sound like a terrible thing to say, but it's really going to be important. It's like looking at what really needs to be seen, what really needs to be said. There are going to be certain things that we just want to kind of sweep under the rug, but that's going to be very important for us to look at and to see and to name and to understand. So let's look at our chakra energy, angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly. We have here too, we have the soul star chakra and we have the heart chakra. So the soul star chakra is telling us soul's healing. We are being healed. And then we have the heart chakra with forgiveness. We are being healed and we're learning how to forgive the people in our lives that have wronged us, but we're also learning how to forgive ourselves for not living up to expectations that we had, for, being hurt, for being vulnerable, for being, maybe we're looking at it and saying, wow, I was just too weak. But we weren't too weak. I mean, we had lessons to learn. Maybe sometimes we look at it and say, wow, I wish I would have been fiercer than or stronger than or able to tell that person off. But what Spirit is really saying here is that we have to forgive ourselves, because every single moment we lived in life was a lesson that was hard-earned and that was hard-earned. Some of it doesn't make sense. Sometimes life, through everything that everybody says, sometimes I really do feel that life sometimes just is abhorrent. It sucks. I mean, to put it just bluntly, sometimes absolutely the most horrific things happen and there isn't any rhyme or any reason for it. We might want to find one, but in the end, it was a horrible person doing a horrible thing, right? And so here we look at the heart chakra and we say, but am I still able to love me? Or has that been ripped from me too? And so here, it's being able to forgive ourselves for having to live through what we lived through, for where our souls were at that time, and being able to move forward empowered and emboldened and stronger than we ever thought we could be. The forgiveness, it's real. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be something absolutely catastrophic that has happened, but it's the things that wound. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to say, I still love me. I'm still showing up for me. I believe in me. Because so many times we can think, why? Why would anybody? Why would I believe in me? Why would anybody believe in me? And now there's power to us. And that really has to be what we embrace, because this is a time that changes so much. The 18th of December, let's talk about this astrologically for a little bit. We have the full moon in Gemini, right? The answers you need are coming. And the 18th of December into the 19th of December is the full moon in Gemini. Now, this is one of the best ways to end 2021, because the full moon in Gemini is very lucky, and therefore we are very lucky. There are pieces of the puzzle that are coming back into place, or that are finally coming into place during this time. This is because of the strong role of Jupiter. Now, Sagittarius, we are ruled by Jupiter. So this energy of Jupiter, this planetary alignment of Jupiter coming into play, and the fact that Jupiter is one of the most positive planets in the cosmos, affects us greatly. But it brings forward a lot of change, a lot of power here. Now, we will have to be mindful, because not everything's going to be smooth sailing, but there's going to be real goodness, real greatness here to be obtained. The sun is opposite the moon, as all stories of the full moon begin, with the sun opposite the moon. And this lasts for 2 weeks after the full moon. So this 2-week period brings us to our power, brings us to our understanding. As always, okay, our relationships come under close focus, under close, scrutiny by us. We're looking at things and saying, okay, how is this measuring up? We are also very aware of the difficulties we have in being pulled in different directions. All right, in the sense that we need to be at work, but we also need to be at home. We have people's demands for us, but we also have our demands for us. We want to do some things for ourselves, and yet we can have everybody else eating up our time. And so we need to look at this and say, how do I fix this? Maybe not even fix it. What do I need to do to start putting me first, to start making it so that I matter? And here we have to be very open and honest with ourselves, because the energy that is draining us drains us hard. And it can become overwhelming. It can become something that we're very resentful of. So just be aware of this. Emotions and intuition reach their peak under the full moon. So our increased emotional strength and intuition really help us to see what we need to focus on and help us to overcome any challenges. We are also more aware of our subconscious understanding and will find ourselves relying on our intuition. Now, the full moon is significant because it's the end of a cycle, and it tells us what we need to let go of, what we can't drag forward with us. The last hours of the North Lunar Node will be in Gemini. Gemini is represented by Mercury, is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Capricorn. This makes this energy of the North Lunar Node, the head of the dragon, in Gemini, much more rational and grounded. This means that we will be able to perceive, articulate, and achieve what it is that we really want, setting things up for 2022, the angel number of 222, of new starts, of new beginnings, of new blessings coming forward. What we need to look at is what we want to achieve. We need to rip away everything else. The full moon is going to be in discord with Neptune. Now, Neptune is our spiritual understanding. It is our sixth sense. This is our belief, our hope, and what we want. Neptune will have us looking at things from a higher standpoint, a higher understanding, a higher spiritual place of being, where we start to look at and really see our dreams and how we can incorporate them into the waking world, into the world around us. And that's going to be a huge part of our public arena selves, of how do I bring my dream forward? How do I embrace what it is that I truly desire here? And the moon can be in discord. It's that bit of tension that starts to bring out the creativity, that starts to bring out the ambition, that starts to have the frustration come to just that perfect point where we start to make the changes that, our spirit guides, divinity, the earth itself is like, oh, thank goodness, finally, you are where you need to be. You are waking up. Now, Lilith, the black moon, is in Gemini. There's huge Gemini influence here, and we have to remember, Sagittarius, that our sister sign is Gemini. Now, that means that, like a sister, it could be our best friend, our greatest ally. This could be the energy that we feel the most comfortable in. But also, like a sister, if you have sisters, this could be the energy that drives you up and down the Mississippi. It's like so frustrating, so overwhelming, and you think, I could really do without this. So just be mindful of this during this time. Okay, so the black moon in Gemini, Lilith, all right, has us believing something that isn't true. Now, either we've come up with this belief by ourselves, but it's usually a little birdie whispering in our ear, somebody who's giving us false facts, who is trying to manipulate our emotions. Be aware of this. Don't make any really big decisions till around the 20th, because that's going to be where the influence of the black moon really starts to clear up. The full moon is trine Jupiter. Do we feel at home here? Yes, we absolutely do. With the full moon trine Jupiter, this enhances our own energy. We're coming through very strongly with the Jupiter energy right here. Right? This brings us positivity, good luck, wealth, abundance, and happiness. We will have the ability to grow spiritually and personally, and that will lead us to being healthier, happier, and wiser. We don't feel as alone in this alignment. We really do feel at home, us more so than others do during this time, so that's really quite good. And it's easier for us to share our feelings. It's also going to be a little bit easier for us to get really ticked at people. So just be aware of that. It's like somebody else gets mad, somebody else gets annoyed, and we're going to be like, I don't need to take this, and just kind of stay in that energy for a while. So just be mindful of that. We are also going to find great rewards in our relationships, and especially through socializing. Now, this can also be a time where we realize that we want to expand our relationships. We want to be more social. We want to be doing more, like breaking boundaries, like really moving forward towards newer, better, greater things. And that's going to be really quite beautiful for us. Our soul is really guiding us in directions that we didn't think were possible. We will be open and honest with our goals and what we are looking for in life, which will really benefit us, our personal and business relationships, our personal relationships, our work relationships, business relationships. It's really going to be good for this. Now, we just have to be mindful not to share too much with lower energy vibrational people who are going to be petty, who are going to be cruel, who are going to manipulate what we're saying and really just use it for their own gains, to try and sabotage us, to try and cheat us. Excuse me. That's going to be something that we really need to be aware of here. And we might not know these low energy vibrational people until it's too late. So just be mindful with who you share with. This is a fantastic moon for the holiday season because it spreads goodwill and generosity. The full moon is going to be quincus Venus. Now, Venus goes into retrograde 6 hours after the full moon on the 19th of December. This makes it tricky because we do have the Hermit right here, which Virgo energy, which has Mercury to it, but I don't know why I keep on seeing during this time Virgo energy having a connection with Venus. There's just a sense of as we turn inward, and I think that's it. As we turn inward, we start to connect more and more and more with our heart and with what we need and what we want, and it's really coming out of a place of emotional understanding. Now, the lucky thing is that Jupiter's energy, and because we are ruled by Jupiter, we feel this much more than other people, and people feel Jupiter's energy really strongly during this time, is that our connection with Jupiter is so strong that it keeps us in a positive alignment. It stops us from really being dragged under. Now, the full moon is quincus Venus, which increases our need for love and affection. This will also be tricky because we're going to feel the imbalance within our relationships much more strongly than at any other time. So if we feel taken advantage of, we will feel really taken advantage of. If we feel smothered, we'll feel really smothered. So just be aware of this. This is also the time to act. This is also not the time, it's not the time to act, but to step back and look at our heart's desire and what we truly love and how we truly express that love. How are we letting love into our lives? How are we embracing the love for what we want? And are we putting up with things that just aren't okay? And why are we doing that? Why are we putting up with it? Even if we're not in romantic relationships, we need to ask ourselves these questions because we're talking about our heart. We're talking about the connection with our heart. And here we just feel a bit overwhelmed. It's almost like I can't sleep at night. I'm completely, overwhelmed. I'm doubting. I'm fearing. There's chaos here. How do I get to the place that I need to be? So questions come up within our relationships in regards to, everything, family, friends, ourselves, our business, how we want to move forward, our work, where it is that we want to be. So these questions come up and they're really quite intense. The full moon is going to be quincus Pluto. Now this alignment can increase our imbalance in our relationships. Again, we have Jupiter smoothing everything out, but this is still how we feel inside. And this can get really tricky, especially if we're really heart sensitive, if we're very much in tune with our emotions, or if we are empathic people. This can be a time where we just kind of feel like blue. We can feel like just like there's something off. So just be aware of this. This can also make things get really real really fast. It's like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I need, this is what I don't need. We can see ourselves doing a whole entire life haul, like life makeover during this time, just because we're really seeing what we want and what we don't want, what's holding us back, and how we need to move ourselves forward. We also need to trust in somebody during this time, to be able to release. Now, it can be a friend, it can be a family member, a therapist, a spiritual advisor, it can be writing it out in a journal, but this is going to be letting a lot out, so we might want to burn those pages afterwards just so that nobody can ever see them. And why we need this is because we need to release in order to avoid a crisis. If we don't release in order to avoid a crisis, it will bubble over. Now, Venus is conjunct Pluto. This makes us love the idea of being in love, but it will also increase our likelihood of falling in love, not with love, but with lust. So just be aware of that. Here, we need to really listen to our hearts and listen to what we desire. Now, let's talk about the fixed stars. We have the fixed star Betelgeuse, which is located in the constellation of Orion. Now, this brings material honor, promotion, wealth, and it reveals an immense strength within us. But the question is, how will we use that strength? Like, why are we having to call upon that immense strength? So it's going to bring forward something that is a struggle, that is a doubt, that is a fear. And then we start to see that becomes one of our strengths, even though we've had to work so hard to have it become a strength. Betelgeuse is also known as a workaholic. So just being aware of that, we're either all in or we're not at all. We're going to find things to really focus on. And we're also going to get really mad at ourselves if we're not meeting our own expectations when it comes to work. Alignment within the power of this moon in the star make us swift of mind, strong of will. It makes us rebellious. It makes us also restless when we feel controlled. And we don't like authority figures during this time. We really don't like being told what to do. This can be a great alignment with the moon and the star, with the full moon and Betelgeuse. This can be a great alignment for power, for honor, and for wealth. Now, the constellation of Orion brings us strength, dignity, self-confidence, it also brings us inconsistency, arrogance, violence, and impiety. So we have to be really mindful of these elements that come forward that aren't necessarily the best things in the whole entire world. We don't want to be inconsistent, but we also have to look at our inconsistencies. Arrogance comes from the confidence, but also from fears that we're trying to mask. Violence comes from frustration, and it comes from base, lower energy vibration. Impiety, not taking things, not holding things in reverence, meaning ourselves, the earth, our connection with our fellow human beings. That's going to be something that we need to look at. The good thing is that we are successful in trade, especially overseas, so that's something to smile about. Now we have the fixed star Polaris, which is located within the constellation of Ursa Minor. Now this is not as positive as Betelgeuse, though, even though Betelgeuse has their issues, right? Here, Polaris has a bit more. So we start off with Polaris causing sickness, trouble, loss of fortune, and disgrace. Legal and inheritance issues can get evil attention under the star, meaning that it can just cause trouble. It's kind of a rabble rouser. Now the star is here to guide us to what we need to look at, where the cracks are forming, and so that we can see where things are starting to break up, where things are starting to crack and fall apart before they become unfixable caverns that we need to just absolutely overhaul. So just be aware of this, or it will take so much more time, so much more effort. Now the interesting thing is that astrologically speaking, the bears, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, are said to be an evil influence, especially in regards to the nations and kings. So to our nations, to our leaders, this Polaris is going to show the cracks. And if they can't fix the cracks, it's going to bring a tidal wave. It's going to bring a bit of a storm, which a big cavern. So just be aware of this, that it's more on the nation side that I'm really seeing this, but this will trickle down to us. So not to cause a panic or anything like that, but just be mindful, just watch, okay? And make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Now here we have the Tower. We have change that's coming in. Divinity is kicking our tush, really throwing us out of our comfort zone and saying, this is how we have to change. This is what we need to embrace. This is what we need to see for ourselves, for our way forward, for what we desire within our lives. This is change. Now this is also for those of us who have been through, this Tower time, have been through the dark night of the soul, who have been, kicked in the teeth and absolutely overwhelmed. This is telling us, who are we now? Or it's actually asking us, who are we now? But it's also telling us, claim your power, claim your strength, claim what it is that you want, that you need. Because here we have the strength card. It is the strength that comes not through brute force, but through love, through compassion, through kindness, through caring and nurturing. What are we caring for? What are we nurturing, especially within ourselves, and especially for ourselves, to bring forward the balance of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, the balance of the subconscious and the conscious, the balance of where we want to be and where we are right now, and also the balance of the incongruities within ourselves, the sense of the endless contradictions that we have as a human being. So here it can be, okay, I want to be in a loving, caring, beautiful relationship, but I also want to keep my complete and utter freedom. I don't want to be told what to do. And, I don't want anybody impeding on my time. So those things can be contradictions to each other, and definitely are, but we can mean them both with utter sincerity. So where is the balance within ourselves? What is it that guides us forward to embrace what we love and what we want and who we are? Where's the harmony within us? That's going to be really important, because Sagittarius, we need that balance. That balance defines us. That balance brings us forward. That balance helps us to be so much more than we ever thought we would be. And it brings us to the Hermit. It brings us to this energy that says, look within. But also look within and see what you're hoarding away. Look within and look where we're seeing that we're closing the door and saying, I'm sorry, you can't go here. I just need to tidy up, type of thing. Or you can't go here because I hold too many treasures here. Here the dragon holds all the treasures. But what the heck does a dragon need with gold? If you think of the stories of dragons, they take gold, they take maidens. Why? Why would you need that? Those were things that, yes, we still value gold, and, maidens are our children also. So being aware of that too is going to be very important. But these were things that medieval people valued, not necessarily that dragons, that giant lizards valued. So what we're looking at here is what is it that we're holding away? What gifts do we have that we're afraid to show the light of day because we're overthinking and we're overanalyzing? We also have the repeat of the number 9. We're coming very close to a completion of a cycle, a completion of what we need to understand, what we truly desire. The 9 of Swords, it's overthinking, it's overanalyzing, it's feeling overwhelmed, it's doubting ourselves, it's being completely fearful, and it's stopping before we even begin. Because what if it goes wrong? But here's the thing. What if it goes right? What if it works out? What if it's all okay? We fear because we're human. We fear because that's what kept our lizard brains alive, or, ourselves alive as we were growing as a species, as we were, becoming the modern people that we are today. But our fears now, a lot of our fears are abstract. And how are we to fight them? It's not, okay, there's a bear, and I have to fight the bear. It's, okay, it's this, it's getting food on the table. It's, doing all this stuff that needs to be done. It's connecting with people through computer screens, or, trying to build up relationships and understandings when the whole world is different. So here it's like, okay, where do I stand and why do I stand here? And it's really having us look at things that have broken us in a sense. And our heart is saying, how do I fix this? And it's not necessarily that we need to fix it. What we need to do is honor the story that we've been through, honor the hurts and the pains and the disappointments, the angers and the upsets and the chaos. And then as we honor it, as we understand it, as we see it, we then start to see ourselves more and more. We start to see the strength of us, the empowerment of us, and it moves us to the 6 of Pentacles. It moves us to things really starting to be balanced, really obtaining a balance within us. The way that we need to move forward for our hearts, for what we desire, for the place that we want to be, a sense of harmony and understanding, but it's also a real understanding of where are we being stretched too thin? Where are we giving and nobody is giving back? Or where are we taking and need to be giving back? Because those are also things that we need to look at here. It brings us to the 2 of Swords. It brings us to a new world opening up to us, but it also brings us to looking at, my goodness, here we go, old battles, old hurts, old pains, old disappointments, things that we have been fighting for quite some time. And it's like, if we stop fighting, if we stop having to be in this moment all the time, it starts to change the game, and we start to see our dreams coming forward. We start to see what we desire, what we want, what we need to look at, what is important for us and what isn't. We're looking at our dreams and saying, okay, why am I heading away from this? Why am I overwhelmed by this? How do I move me forward? How do I embrace my dreams? Because it's one thing to have a dream. It's a completely different thing to embrace the dream, to be embodied by the dream, to, move forward in that dream, and to bring our dreams to reality. And that's going to be something that we find challenging during this time. But our dreams, our desires, the beautiful things that we put in the back of our minds and take out when the world gets overwhelming, and we say, oh, well, when I do this, or when I have this, or when it is this, everything will be okay. It moves us to the 6 of Coins. It moves us to that balance that is needed, but also that generosity that is needed. Because here we're handing out candy. We're creating bonds. We're embracing love and joy and connection. And it's through giving and generosity and balance and fairness. So let's see what the moon has to say for herself. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Oh no, it fell. Oh goodness. Okay, hold on. There we go. Angels and spirit guides. So at our root, we have a win-win outcome is forecast. And here we have the full moon through the power of this full moon, through the power of the balancing of our energy, the temperancing of ourselves. And it's after that chaos, it's after that fall, it's after that complete other awakening that has happened, which is usually never easy and always intense. It moves us to our lunar inner self. And it says here, a time to give rather than take. Self-love. It's a time to give to ourselves for love, for acceptance, for understanding, instead of taking, instead of hoarding more away. It's a time to give to the world, to ourselves, that beauty, that power, that understanding. It's kind of like when we get caught up in acquisition, when we get caught up in getting more and having more, and the brilliance and the beauty of obtaining. It's so much fun to obtain, but it makes us lose sight of things. It makes us lose sight of what's really important, and it brings us to our lunar emotional self. Your hard work is paying off. Will you embrace it? Will you embrace the power that is coming? And then we have our lunar public arena self. Don't let pride get in the way. Self-reflection. Reflect, see, understand, and do not let our pride define us. Do not let our pride, our ego, take over, because it will have a tendency to. It will have a tendency to say, well, look how great I am, or then look how much I stink. Either way, it's our pride taking over. It's not saying, okay, these are lessons that I'm learning, and obviously I'm learning them slower than maybe some other people are, or I've had to get hit over the head with this a couple of times, but I'm learning. And as I'm learning, I'm seeing where I need to be. It moves us to our subconscious lunar energy, which is, look at the big picture, the full moon in Sagittarius. So our energy, our power here is so intense. Resilience. Look at the bigger picture. See how resilient we are. See how we carried our world tree on our back. It's changing the game for us. This release, this awakening. It moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of. It's the Princess of Cups. It's other people's emotions. It's other people's demands. It's even our own emotions and our own demands taking over what we know needs to be done right now. This is childish, immature behavior. And what we're looking at is a way not to be ruled by this, but to overcome it. It moves us to our subconscious chakra self, and this is the Earth Star chakra. This is rebirth. We're seeing ourselves reborn. We're seeing ourselves transformed, and we're seeing ourselves becoming more than we realized we could be. Then we have our subconscious rooted self, and it's the Emperor. It's Aries energy. It is a sense of, I am claiming my throne. I am embracing my power. I am seeing myself openly, honestly, and tenaciously, and nothing and no one holds me back. It brings us to our subconscious inner self, and that is the Hierophant. There's power here. The Hierophant in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is the Pope. The Pope in medieval times was the most powerful person in the world. They told emperors what to do, right? And kings and queens. So here we have this energy of wisdom. We can also see this as the warrior Chiron. Now, yes, he becomes the wounded warrior, but there is this sense of wisdom and of healing and of connection and of insight and of ideas. And if we open ourselves up to this power, we become unstoppable, but also it becomes life-changing, and it is life-changing. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self, and it's the Five of Wands. We're so used to chaos. We're so used to fighting. We're so used to discord. Don't let this be our defining factor. Don't. It moves us to our subconscious public arena self, and it's the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Coins. We need to balance ourselves before we try to balance everything else, because what we're doing here is we're trying to balance everything else, and we ourselves are just not balanced. So keeping our feet firmly planted on the ground, embracing, the energy of grounding, of knowing, of seeing ourselves, of feeling ourselves, of connecting with ourselves, that becomes the game changer. All right. All right, Sagittarius. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this full moon. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Sagittarius, and may you have a blessed moon.